The alarm started at 0400 hours. Jiho was already awake when they sounded. Staring out the observation window of Haven 7 at the distant stars, he had been watching the long-range scanners all night, watching the dots that represented the alien fleet growing closer and closer to Earth's solar system. "Commander, they're here," Hana said, rushing into the command center. Her uniform was barely straightened, but her eyes were sharp and focused. 312 vessels. They just crossed the outer marker. Jiho turned from the window and walked to the central display. The holographic image showed the solar system with hundreds of red dots entering from the outer edge, moving in perfect formation toward the inner planets. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever seen. Each dot represented a warship capable of destroying entire cities with a single blast. "Wake everyone," Jiho said calmly. "Full alert status. Contact Earth Command immediately." Minho appeared at his station, fingers already flying over the controls. "Opening all channels now, Commander." Earth Command is responding. They're patching through Defense Minister Yuna. The screen flickered and showed a woman with tired eyes and gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Yuna looked like she had not slept in days. Behind her, Jiho could see the emergency command room on Earth, filled with officers and officials running between stations. "Commander Jiho, we see them," Yuna said. "The President is convening the High Council now. What's their trajectory?" Hana pulled up the navigation data. "They're heading straight for Earth, Minister. Current speed suggests they'll reach Mars orbit in 72 hours. They're not trying to hide. They want us to know they're coming." As if responding to her words, the communication systems erupted with an incoming message. It was not a request. It was a demand broadcast on every frequency humanity used. "Attention, primitive species of the third planet," a harsh voice said through the speakers. The translation software struggled with the alien language, but the meaning was clear enough. "We are the Velkari Empire. You have been selected for incorporation into our dominion. You will surrender all military forces immediately. You will provide complete planetary resource surveys. You will prepare your population for processing. You have 72 hours to comply. Resistance will result in the complete elimination of your species." The message repeated 3 times, then cut off. The command center fell silent. Jiho looked at the faces of his crew. They were scared, but they were not panicking. They had trained for this day, even though many had hoped it would never come. "Get me President Taman," Jiho said quietly. Within minutes, the screen showed the president's office. Taman sat behind his desk with Chief Science Advisor Nari standing beside him. Both looked grim but determined. "We heard their message," Taman said. "The High Council is unanimous, Commander. Earth does not surrender. Earth does not kneel. We knew this day might come, since the Talreni visited us 200 years ago." Nari stepped forward. "Commander, is Fortress Prime ready?" Jiho glanced at Hana, who checked her secure display and nodded. "All systems are operational, Chief Advisor. The defense grid is at full power. We've been ready for the past 5 years." "Good," Nari said. "Then we proceed with Protocol Guardian. But first, we give them a chance. We give them a warning." Taman nodded slowly. "We are not monsters, Commander Jiho. We do not want to destroy them. But we will protect our home. Send them our response." Minho opened a direct channel to the Velkari fleet. His hands were shaking slightly, but his voice was steady. "Channel open. Commander. They're receiving." Jiho stepped up to the communication station. He thought about what to say, how to make them understand. These aliens had conquered 47 civilizations. They had destroyed countless worlds. They thought Earth was weak, primitive, defenseless. They had no idea what humanity had built in secret over the past 2 centuries. "This is Commander Jiho of the United Earth Defense Force," he said clearly. "You have entered our solar system without permission. You have threatened our people. You have demanded our surrender. We reject your demands completely. This is your only warning. Leave our system immediately, or you will be removed by force." We do not wish to harm you, but we will defend our home. You have 72 hours to turn your fleet around and depart. This is not a negotiation. This is a warning." He nodded to Minho, who closed the channel. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the communication system activated again. This time, there was no translation problem. The Velkari commander was laughing. It was a cruel, mocking sound that echoed through the command center. "Primitive fools," the alien voice said between laughs. "You think you can threaten us? We have crushed civilizations 1,000 times more advanced than yours. Your weapons are toys. Your ships are barely capable of reaching your own moon. We will take your planet, and you will serve us, or die. There is no third option." The channel went dead. Hana pulled up the fleet's trajectory again. "They're not slowing down, Commander. If anything, they're accelerating. They're coming straight at us." Jiho walked back to the observation window. In the distance, he could see Earth, blue and beautiful, hanging in the void. He thought about the billions of people down there. His family, his friends, all the people who had no idea that in 72 hours, everything might change. "Contact Fortress Prime," he said. "Tell Captain Junho to begin final preparations. And contact all our hidden platforms. Every weapon, every defense system, every trap we've built over the past 200 years. Get them ready." "Commander," Minho asked quietly, "do you think they'll turn back?" Jiho shook his head slowly. "No. They've conquered too many worlds. They're too confident. They think we're weak because we're young. They don't understand that sometimes the young ones are the most dangerous." Hana looked at her commander. "What if the defense grid fails? What if the Tolreni's knowledge wasn't enough? Then we fight with everything else we have," Jiho said. "But it won't fail. Nari has tested every system 1,000 times. Humanity might be young compared to these aliens, but we learn fast. And we protect what's ours." He turned to face his crew. "Get some rest, all of you. The next 72 hours will decide whether humanity remains free or becomes slaves to an empire. Make sure you're ready, and make sure everyone knows. We gave them a warning. What happens next is their choice." As his crew left to prepare, Jiho remained at the window, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the Velkari fleet was coming closer. They were laughing at Earth's warning. They thought humanity was weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The countdown had begun. The 72 hours passed like a slow nightmare. On Haven 7, Jiho barely slept. He watched the Velkari fleet move through the solar system like a swarm of locusts, steady and unstoppable. They passed Neptune, then Uranus, then Saturn. With each passing hour, they grew closer to Earth. Down on the planet, people were scared. The government had told everyone about the alien threat. Cities were being evacuated to underground shelters built decades ago for exactly this purpose. Families huddled together, watching the news, watching the sky, wondering if they would survive to see another sunrise. Hana sat at her station, monitoring the alien fleet's movements. She had been tracking them for 3 days straight, surviving on coffee and determination. "They're maintaining their invasion formation," she reported. "It's the same pattern our databases show they used on other worlds. They're not even trying to be creative. Why would they?" Minho said bitterly. "It's worked for them before. They've crushed 47 civilizations with these tactics. Why change what works?" "One." Jiho stood at the central display, studying the enemy. Each ship in the Velkari fleet was massive, bristling with weapons. Their technology was old by galactic standards, but it was battle-tested and brutal. They relied on overwhelming firepower and shock tactics. They would bombard Earth from orbit until humanity begged for mercy. That was their plan, anyway. "Commander, incoming transmission from Earth," Minho announced. "It's President Taman. He's addressing the Velkari fleet one more time." The speakers crackled to life, and Taman's voice filled the command center. He sounded tired, but determined. like a father trying to reason with a stubborn child one last time before punishment. "People of the Velkari Empire," Taman said. "This is President Taman of Earth. I am speaking to you directly. Commander to commander. Leader to leader. You have ignored our warning. You are now approaching our homeworld with weapons armed and clear hostile intent. I am asking you one final time. Turn your fleet around. Leave our system. We have no wish to fight you. We have no desire to destroy your people. But we will not surrender. We will not become slaves. If you continue on your current path, you will force us to defend ourselves. Please, for the sake of your crews, your families, and your empire, turn back now while you still can." The message ended. Everyone in the command center waited for a response. It came quickly. The Velkari commander's face appeared on their screens. He was a large creature with gray skin and dark eyes that held nothing but contempt. "Your pathetic begging is amusing, human. We have heard such words from every species we have conquered. They all thought they could resist. They all thought they were special. They were all wrong. And so are you. In a few hours, we will be in orbit around your world. Your cities will burn. Your people will submit. And you, President Taman, will kneel before me and beg for the mercy of a quick death." The screen went black. Hana slammed her fist on her console. "Arrogant bastards. They really think we're helpless. They've never lost a battle," Minho said quietly. "In their minds, they're invincible. Nothing we say will change that. Only action will." Jiho touched his communication device. "Get me Nari at Fortress Prime." A moment later, the chief science advisor appeared on the screen. She was standing in a massive underground facility carved into the far side of the moon. Behind her, enormous machines hummed with barely contained power. Technicians in clean suits moved between stations, running final checks on systems that had been built in absolute secrecy. "Commander," Nari said, "we're tracking the fleet. They'll reach Earth orbit in approximately 4 hours. All weapons platforms are online. The quantum disruption arrays are charged. The singularity generators are calibrated. The trans-dimensional lances are ready. We're at 100% operational status." "And Captain Junho?" Jiho asked. "Right here, Commander," a voice said as Junho stepped into view. He was younger than Jiho, but his eyes held the same determination. "Defense Platform Omega is ready. All 37 hidden platforms throughout the system report green status. The Velkari have passed within range of 6 of our positions already. They didn't detect a thing." "Good," Jiho said. "Maintain radio silence until I give the order. And Junho, remember, this is not revenge. This is defense. We gave them every chance to leave peacefully." Junho nodded solemnly. "Understood, Commander. We'll be ready." The next 4 hours were the longest of Jiho's life. He watched the Velkari fleet cross Mars' orbit, then approach Earth. They moved with such confidence, such certainty of victory. They had done this hundreds of times before on dozens of worlds. They knew how this would end, but they were wrong. On Earth, Defense Minister Yuna stood in the command bunker deep beneath the capital city. Around her, military officers watched screens showing the approaching fleet. Some were praying, some were crying quietly. All of them were scared. "Minister," an officer said, his voice shaking. "They're entering attack range. Their weapons are powering up. They're preparing to fire on our cities." Yuna closed her eyes for just a moment. She thought about her daughter, safe in a shelter somewhere. She thought about all the children on Earth, all the innocent people who had done nothing to deserve this. She thought about the tall Rennie, the kind aliens who had visited Earth 2 centuries ago and given humanity a gift. Knowledge of what existed in the universe, and the tools to defend themselves against it. "Minister, what are your orders?" the officer asked. Yuna opened her eyes. "Tell Commander Jiho he is authorized to activate all defensive protocols. Tell him to show these aliens why Earth's warnings should never be ignored." On Haven 7, Jiho received the message. he stood at the central display and looked at his crew. Hana, Minho, and all the others who had worked so hard for this moment. They were not soldiers by nature. They were explorers, scientists, dreamers who wanted to reach the stars in peace. But the universe was not always peaceful, and sometimes dreamers had to become warriors. All stations, report status, Jiho said. One by one, his crew confirmed readiness. Every system was green, every weapon was charged, every platform was locked on target. Jiho opened the fleet-wide channel to all of Earth's hidden defenses. This is Commander Jiho to all defense platforms. The Velkari fleet has refused our warnings. They have chosen aggression over peace. They have chosen war over wisdom. We will show them the price of that choice. All units, activate defensive protocols. Engage on my mark. He watched the Velkari fleet move into their attack formation. They were spreading out, preparing to bombard multiple targets simultaneously. Their weapons were glowing with deadly energy. In moments, they would fire. Jiho took one deep breath. For Earth, he said quietly. Then louder. All units. Fire at will. Earth, space around Earth, erupted in light. The weapons that humanity unleashed were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were not lasers or missiles or nuclear bombs. They were something far more advanced, born from the knowledge the Tolreni had shared and perfected by 2 centuries of human innovation and desperation. From the moon, from hidden asteroids, from camouflaged platforms that looked like space debris. Earth's defense grid activated all at once. The quantum disruption arrays fired first. These weapons did not explode or burn. They simply reached out across space and touched the Velkari ships. And where they touched, matter stopped existing. The lead Velkari battleship, the one carrying their commander, was struck by 3 quantum beams simultaneously. For a fraction of a second, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship began to dissolve. Not explode, dissolve. The hull turned transparent, then faded away like morning mist. Inside, the crew had no time to scream. They simply ceased to be. Their atoms scattered across space so completely that not even dust remained. 50 ships vanished in the first second. On Haven 7, Hana watched her displays with wide eyes. Quantum arrays are performing beyond expectations. Direct hits on primary targets. No shields are holding. The Velkari fleet tried to respond. Their commander was gone, but their training kicked in. Ships began to scatter, trying to escape the invisible death that was erasing them from existence. Some turned to fire on Earth, hoping to complete their mission even in death. Others tried to activate their faster-than-light engines to flee the system. None of them made it. The singularity generators fired next. These weapons were even more terrible. They created tiny black holes, each one lasting only a fraction of a second but devastating in their power. One appeared in the center of a Velkari cruiser, and the ship folded in on itself like paper being crumpled by an invisible hand. The metal screamed as it compressed, and then it was gone, pulled into a point too small to see before the singularity collapsed. 100 more ships died in the second. Minho was monitoring the enemy communications. They're panicking. They're trying to send distress signals back to their empire. Some are broadcasting surrender. Others are just screaming. Block all outgoing transmissions, Jiho ordered, his face grim. We gave them a warning. They chose to ignore it. Now they get to face the consequences. The transdimensional lances fired last, and they were perhaps the most frightening weapons of all. These beams existed in multiple dimensions at once. They did not travel through normal space. They simply appeared inside the target, bypassing shields and armor as if they did not exist. When a lance struck, it tore ships apart from the inside out. Hull plates peeled away like flower petals. Internal structures twisted and shattered. Crews died instantly, as the dimensional energy ripped through them. The Velkari flagship, the largest and most powerful ship in the fleet, tried to activate its emergency shields. It had armor thick enough to withstand nuclear weapons. Its shields could protect it from the most powerful conventional weapons in the galaxy. None of it mattered. 3 transdimensional lances struck it simultaneously. and the mighty battleship split into 4 pieces, each piece breaking apart further as it tumbled through space. 200 ships gone in the 3rd second. On Earth, people watched from their shelters. Some had small screens showing the battle. Others just listened to the radio broadcasts. They heard the military announcements. Hostile fleet under attack. Earth defenses engaging. Enemy suffering catastrophic losses. In the underground command bunker, Defense Minister Yuna stood with tears streaming down her face. Not tears of sadness, but of overwhelming relief. "We're winning," she whispered. "We're actually winning." An officer next to her was shaking his head in disbelief. "Minister, their entire fleet is being destroyed. They're not even able to fight back. It's not a battle. It's an execution." Yuna wiped her eyes. "It's defense. They were warned. They chose this." In space, the Velkari fleet was in complete chaos. Ships collided with each other as they tried desperately to escape. Some captains were so terrified they shut down their own ships, hoping that powering down would make them invisible to Earth's weapons. It didn't work. The defense grid had locked onto every target. There would be no survivors unless Jiho ordered it. One small Velkari ship, a scout vessel with only a crew of 12, managed to get its message out before a quantum beam found it. The message was simple: "Run. Do not come here. Earth is death. They are not primitive. They are demons. Run." Then that ship, too, dissolved into nothing. Hana counted down the remaining targets. 50 ships left. 40, 30. Her voice was steady, but her hands were gripping her console so hard her knuckles were white. 20, 10, 5. The last 5 Velkari ships were trying to surrender. They had shut down their weapons, cut their engines, and were broadcasting on every frequency. "We surrender. Please. We surrender." Jiho looked at the display. Part of him wanted to be merciful. These were living beings. After all, they had families. They probably hadn't wanted to come here. They were following orders. But then he remembered the 47 civilizations the Velkari had destroyed. He remembered the billions of beings they had enslaved. He remembered their commander laughing at Earth's warning, promising to make President Taemin beg for death. "No survivors," Jiho said quietly. "Finish it." The last 5 ships vanished. 4.3 seconds. That was how long it took for Earth's defense grid to completely annihilate the Velkari fleet. 312 warships, each one capable of destroying cities, reduced to scattered atoms floating in the void. The command center on Haven 7 fell silent. The displays showed empty space where moments ago there had been a massive invasion force. No explosions. No debris fields. No escape pods. Just emptiness. Hana checked her sensors 3 times. Confirmed. All hostile vessels destroyed. No life signs detected anywhere in the system. No debris larger than 1 centimeter. They're just gone. Minho turned to Jiho. "Commander, what do we do now?" Jiho walked to the observation window. Earth hung in space below him. Beautiful and blue and safe. He thought about the Velkari Empire. About how they would react when their fleet simply disappeared. He thought about the other species in the galaxy who would hear about this. "Open a channel," Jiho said. "Broadcast on all frequencies. Make sure every species in range can hear this message." Minho worked his controls. "Channel open, Commander. You're broadcasting to half the galaxy." Jiho spoke clearly and calmly. "This is Commander Jiho of Earth. A Velkari invasion fleet entered our system and threatened our people. We warned them to leave. They refused. They chose violence over peace. They have been eliminated. Let this be a message to all who might consider attacking Earth. We desire peace. We welcome friendship and cooperation. But we will defend ourselves with absolute force if necessary. Earth's warnings are not empty threats. They are promises. Choose wisely." He nodded to Minho, who closed the channel. "Send a specific message to the Velkari Empire," Jiho added. "Tell them what happened here. Tell them their fleet is gone. Tell them that if they send another one, it will meet the same fate." Tell them Earth is now and forever a protected world. As his crew worked, Jiho continued to stare at Earth. They had won. Humanity was safe. But he felt no joy, no triumph, just a deep weariness, and the heavy knowledge that Earth had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most violent way possible. The universe would never see humanity the same way again. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Within hours, every major civilization knew what had happened. The Valkyrie Armada, the terror of 36 systems, the conquerors of 47 worlds, had been completely destroyed in less than 5 seconds by a species that most of the galaxy had barely noticed: Earth. The third planet of an unremarkable yellow star on the outer edge of the galaxy. A world so young that its people had only just begun exploring their own solar system, a civilization that had been using radio waves less than 300 years ago. That Earth. On the Valkyrie homeworld, the Imperial Council gathered in emergency session. The chamber was filled with the Empire's greatest military minds, and all of them were terrified. Grand Marshal Velcross, the supreme military commander, stood before a holographic display showing the last transmission from their fleet, a small scout ship's final message: "Run. Do not come here. Earth is death." The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Some called for immediate retaliation. Others demanded they send an even larger fleet. A few wiser voices suggested retreat. Velcro silenced them with a gesture. "We sent our primary fleet. 312 warships. Our best crews. Our most powerful weapons. They were annihilated in 4 seconds." He let that sink in. 4 seconds. The battle was not even long enough for them to retreat. Whatever weapons Earth possesses, they are beyond anything we understand. I propose we send no more fleets. I propose we leave Earth alone. 5. For the first time in their empire's history, the Valkyrie voted for peace instead of war. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was in chaos. The Council was a loose alliance of 23 spacefaring species, formed to maintain peace and facilitate trade. They met in a massive space station orbiting a neutral star, and their emergency session had been called the moment Earth's broadcast reached them. Ambassador Tokris of the Andorian Collective, the Council's current leader, called for order. She was an old being, her blue skin wrinkled with centuries of experience. She had seen wars and peace, had witnessed the rise and fall of empires, but she had never seen anything like this. "We must discuss the Earth situation," she said. "A species we did not even know was capable of space travel has just demonstrated weapons technology that surpasses anything in our combined arsenals. The question is, what do we do about it?" The debate was fierce. Representative Malchus of the Torvan Union argued that Earth was a threat. They destroyed an entire fleet without hesitation, without mercy. They are dangerous. But Representative Ilara of the Kyrian Commonwealth disagreed. They were defending their home. The Valkyrie issued an ultimatum of conquest. Earth warned them twice to leave. The Valkyrie chose to attack. Earth merely defended itself. Defended? Malchus scoffed. They obliterated 300 ships in 4 seconds. That's not defense. That's overwhelming aggression. Then perhaps, Ambassador Tokris said quietly, we should ask Earth directly what their intentions are. Send them an invitation to join this council. See if they wish to be part of the galactic community, or if they prefer isolation. The vote was close, but it passed. The Galactic Council would reach out to Earth. 3 months after the battle, a small diplomatic ship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. It moved slowly and carefully, broadcasting peaceful intentions on every frequency. It was escorted by no warships. It carried no weapons. It was painted white, the universal color of truce. On Haven 7, Jiho received the message from the ship. This is Ambassador Tokris of the Galactic Council. We come in peace. We wish to speak with Earth's leaders about joining the galactic community. We mean no harm. May we approach? Jiho contacted President Taman immediately. The decision was made quickly. Earth would listen to what the Council had to say. 2 weeks later, a grand meeting was held on Haven 7. now expanded to include a diplomatic wing. Ambassador Tokris came with representatives from all 23 council species. Earth sent President Taman, Defense Minister Yuna, Foreign Minister Yunbi, Chief Science Advisor Nari, and Commander Jiho. The first meeting was tense. Tokris and her delegation were clearly nervous, their eyes constantly moving to the windows, as if expecting Earth's weapons to activate at any moment. The humans, for their part, were cautious but open. Tokris spoke first. "We have come to understand what happened with the Velkari. We have also come to ask, what is Earth's intention? Do you seek to conquer? To expand? To build an empire?" President Taman stood. He was an older man now, the stress of recent months showing in his gray hair and tired eyes. But his voice was strong and clear. "We seek only to live in peace," Taman said. "We did not ask for the Velkari to invade us. We did not want to destroy them. We gave them warnings. We begged them to leave. They chose war, and we defended our home. That is all." Foreign Minister Yunbi added, "Earth has no desire to conquer other worlds. We have barely explored our own solar system. We want trade, cultural exchange, friendship. But we will not be victims. We will not be slaves. Any species that respects our sovereignty will find us willing partners. Any species that threatens us will face the same fate as the Velkari." The bluntness of her words made several ambassadors shift uncomfortably. But Tokris nodded slowly. "That is fair. The Council respects strength and courage. We also respect wisdom. You could have destroyed the Velkari with no warning at all. Instead, you gave them multiple chances to retreat. That shows restraint." Over the next week, negotiations continued. Nari explained some of Earth's history, carefully avoiding details about their weapons. She told them about the Tulreni, the kind species who had visited Earth 2 centuries ago. "They could have conquered us easily," Nari said. "We were primitive then. We had barely developed nuclear power. But instead of conquering us, they gave us a gift. They told us about the galaxy. They warned us about species like the Velkari. They gave us knowledge, not weapons. What we built with that knowledge? We built ourselves." "And what did you build?" asked Representative Malchus suspiciously. Nari smiled coldly. "We built a defense strong enough that we will never be victims. We built weapons that can protect not just Earth, but any ally who stands with us. We built a future where humanity will never kneel to anyone." The negotiations concluded with a treaty. Earth would be granted full sovereignty over its solar system. No species could enter without permission. In return, Earth would join the Galactic Council as an observer member, with the possibility of full membership in the future. Trade routes would be established, cultural exchanges would begin, but there were conditions. Earth's weapons would remain secret. No species would be allowed to study them or copy them, and Earth would agree to a non-aggression pact. They would not use their weapons offensively unless attacked first. President Taman agreed to all of it. On the final day of negotiations, Ambassador Tokris met privately with Taman and Jiho. The old alien looked at them with something like sadness in her eyes. "You have done what you had to do," she said. "You protected your people. But know this. The galaxy will never forget what you did to the Velkari. Some will respect you for it. Others will fear you. A few will hate you. Earth is no longer unknown. You are now a power in the galaxy. And with that power comes responsibility." Jiho nodded. "We understand. We did not seek this position. But we will not run from it either." "Good," Tokris said. She extended her hand in the human gesture of friendship she had learned. "Welcome to the galactic community, Earth. May your strength be used wisely." As the diplomatic ships departed, carrying the news of Earth's treaty back to their homeworlds, Taman and Jiho stood at the observation window, looking at the stars. "We've changed everything," Taman said quietly. "Humanity will never be the same." "No," Jiho agreed. "But we're still here. We're still free. That's what matters." The galaxy had learned a new lesson. Earth's warnings were not to be ignored. 5 years passed like a dream. Earth, once isolated and alone, in the vast darkness of space, was now a recognized power in the galactic community. Ships from a dozen different species visited the solar system regularly, bringing trade goods, technology, and most importantly, friendship. Admiral Jiho stood on the bridge of Haven 7, which had been expanded into a massive diplomatic and military station. He was older now, with gray touching his temples, but his eyes were still sharp. He watched the traffic control displays showing merchant vessels from the Andorian Collective, science ships from the Kyrian Commonwealth, and even a small cultural exchange vessel from a species called the Marthan, who were curious about human art and music. "Admiral, incoming vessel requesting permission to dock," Lieutenant Suman reported. She had been promoted to his second-in-command after Hana left for deep space. "It's the Horizon's Promise. Captain Hana is returning from the Outer Rim," Jiho smiled. It had been 8 months since he had seen his old tactical officer. She now commanded Earth's first deep space exploration vessel, a beautiful ship designed for peaceful exploration rather than war. Her mission was to find new civilizations, to make friends rather than enemies, to show the galaxy that Earth was more than just terrifying weapons. "Permission granted," Jiho said. "And tell Captain Hana I expect a full report over dinner." An hour later, Hana walked into the station's observation lounge. She looked healthy and happy, her uniform decorated with the badges of 3 new species she had made first contact with. Jiho embraced her like an old friend. "You look well," Jiho said. "The Outer Rim agrees with you." "It's beautiful out there," Hana said, her eyes bright with excitement. "We found a species called the Orvani. They're artists, Jiho. They sculpt with light and sound. They created a symphony for us when we told them about Earth and the Nashir. They're mathematicians who see the universe in equations. They were fascinated by our music because they could hear the mathematical patterns in it. They sat by the window, looking out at the stars, and Hana told him about her adventures. She had traveled to worlds humans had never imagined, met beings of incredible diversity, and everywhere she went, she carried Earth's message. "We come in peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." "How do they see us?" Jiho asked. "Honestly," Hana's smile faded a bit. "They respect us. Some of them fear us. The smaller species, the ones who have been bullied or conquered before, they see us as protectors. The larger powers see us as something to be careful around. But Jiho, they all know we gave the Valkyrie a warning. They all know we didn't want that war." "And the Valkyrie?" Jiho asked quietly. "Changed," Hana said. "You wouldn't recognize them. After we destroyed their fleet, their empire collapsed. The species they had conquered rose up and freed themselves. The Valkyrie are still a spacefaring civilization, but they're smaller now, humbler. They've sent 3 official apologies to Earth. They want peace." Jiho nodded slowly. He had read the apology messages. They were genuine, written with real remorse. The Valkyrie had learned a hard lesson about the cost of arrogance. Meanwhile, on Earth, life had transformed in ways both wonderful and challenging. President Taemin's successor, President Do-yoon, oversaw a planet that was no longer isolated. Human children now learned alien languages in school. Earth's universities hosted exchange students from a dozen different worlds. Human musicians collaborated with alien artists to create music that blended multiple cultures. But not everyone was happy. Some humans feared the aliens, worried that opening Earth to the galaxy would lead to cultural contamination. Or worse, others wanted Earth to use its military power more aggressively, to become an empire rather than just a defender. Do-yoon had to balance all these voices while maintaining Earth's new position in the galaxy. In the lunar facility Fortress Prime, Chief Science Advisor Nari continued her work. She was old now, her hair white, but her mind was as sharp as ever. She stood in the control room where the weapons that had saved Earth still waited, silent and deadly. Captain Junho joined her. He had become the permanent commander of Fortress Prime, the guardian of Earth's most powerful secrets. "Do you think we'll ever have to use them again?" Junho asked. Nari looked at the displays showing the weapon systems, each one capable of destroying fleets with terrifying ease. I hope not, but we keep them ready, just in case. The galaxy is vast and full of unknowns. Peace is wonderful, but it's fragile. These weapons are like a shield we pray we never need to raise. The Council has asked again if they can study our technology, Junho said. Representative Malchus sent another formal request. And what did you tell him? Nari asked. What we always tell him: no. Earth's defense technology remains Earth's secret. It's the only thing that guarantees our independence. Nari nodded in approval. Some knowledge was too dangerous to share, especially with species who might use it to conquer others. Earth had been given a gift by the Talreni, and they would protect that gift carefully. Ambassador Minho, formerly of Communications, now served as Earth's primary representative to the Galactic Council. He spent most of his time at the Council Station, navigating the complex politics of interstellar relations. He had become skilled at it, earning respect from species who had been navigating galactic politics for thousands of years. During one council session, Representative Malchus raised an old complaint. Earth still refuses to share its defensive technology with the Council. This is not the action of an ally. This is the action of a species that wants to remain superior. Minho stood to respond. Earth's weapons were developed to protect Earth. We did not seek to create them for conquest or intimidation. We will not share technology that could be used to harm others. However, we have shared our advances in medical technology, agricultural methods, and sustainable energy. We have contributed more to the galactic community in 5 years than many species contribute in centuries. The Council voted, and Malchus's complaint was dismissed. Earth's right to keep its weapons secret was reaffirmed, but the most interesting development came from an unexpected source. The Velkari Empire, humbled and reduced, sent a new ambassador to Earth. His name was Keltor, and he came not with threats but with a proposal. We wish to make amends, Keltor said, meeting with President Doyun in the Earth capital. We understand we cannot undo what we did to the 47 worlds we conquered, but we can try to help them rebuild. We are releasing all subjugated populations. We are offering reparations, and we ask Earth to oversee this process, to ensure we do it fairly. Doyun was surprised. Why would you trust us? We destroyed your fleet. Keltor's expression was sad but sincere. Because you gave us warnings first. Because you could have destroyed our homeworld but chose not to. Because you have shown the galaxy that you use your power with restraint. You are fair. That is why we trust you. It took 6 months of negotiations, but eventually, Earth agreed to help oversee the Velkari's reparations program. It was fitting. In a way, the species that had almost destroyed Earth now looked to Earth for guidance. 10 years after the battle, Admiral Jiho retired from military service. He had served humanity well, had protected Earth during its most dangerous moment. Now he wanted to rest. On his last day, he stood at the observation window of Haven 7 one final time. Lieutenant Suman, who would take his place as station commander, stood beside him. Any advice for me? Suman asked. Jiho thought about everything he had learned. Everything Earth had been through. Remember why we built these weapons. Not to conquer. Not to threaten. But to protect. If you ever have to use them, make sure you give warning first. Like we did with the Velkari. Give them a chance to choose peace. But if they choose war, don't hesitate to defend Earth. I won't, Suman promised. Jiho smiled. Good. And remember, we're not alone anymore. We have allies now. Friends. The galaxy is not just a dangerous place. It's also full of wonder and possibility. Protect Earth, but also help her reach out to the stars with open hands. As Jiho left Haven 7 for the last time, taking a shuttle down to Earth to retire to a small house by the ocean, he thought about how much had changed. Humanity had gone from an isolated species to a galactic power in just 10 years. They had proven they could defend themselves. But more importantly, they had proven they could be good neighbors and fair partners. The stars above Earth still held dangers. There were species out there that humans had not met yet. Some friendly and some hostile. But whatever came, humanity was ready. They had strength to defend themselves, wisdom to seek peace first, and the courage to stand firm when necessary. The lesson of the Valkyrie remained clear. Earth's warnings were not empty words. They were promises, backed by weapons that could end fleets in seconds, and a will that would never submit to tyrants. But more than that, Earth had proven something else. They had shown that a young species could join the ancient galactic community not through conquest or submission, but through strength, used wisely, through compassion balanced with courage, and through an unwavering commitment to protect not just themselves but the principles of freedom and dignity for all sentient beings. The galaxy had learned to respect Earth, and Earth, in turn, had learned to be a responsible member of the galactic family. The story of humanity among the stars was just beginning, and it was a story built on a foundation that would never crumble. The willingness to give warnings, the strength to enforce them, and the wisdom to know the difference between defense and aggression. Earth stood ready for whatever the future would bring. Powerful but not cruel, strong but not tyrannical, peaceful but never passive. The last warning to the Valkyrie had been ignored, and they had paid the price. It was a lesson the galaxy would never forget, and a reminder that sometimes the youngest species could teach the oldest ones the most important lessons of all. Among the stars, a new saying spread from world to world. Heed Earth's warnings, for they speak only once.